plan. I was going to put this on fast and have me do it at the speed of light, but you know, I never like watching those because it always makes me feel like, well, I don't really work at that speed. I work very much slower than that. I plant my tomatoes exactly like my dad does, in pots with no bottoms. It's called ring culture, I think. And so basically it's so that I'll dig a hole and sink that right into the hole and then fill that up with nutrients, because this soil's okay, it's not good enough for growing tomatoes in. So I shall fill the pots up with layer upon layer of nutritious soil. I was placing the pots this morning and I thought, I can't do it until I've put the edges on the beds. So the beauty of living on a farm is that you can go scrounging around the farm, and I just have. And I found these two. I mean, they're fence posts. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to make this up as I go along. Yeah. So I need to go around the other side. So what I need to do then is 40 centimetres is there. Stake. And I'm going to give this a try. I'm making it up as I go along. Knee not good today. Get 40 centimetres here then. I should have a different kind of hammer, but this is the hammer I've got. Of course this isn't straight. Anyway, never mind, let's just keep going. I'm going to take that one out, want it further out. That's better. Yeah. That's a good idea. I've started now, haven't I? There. Great path here. Is there. Perfect. But it's a good book, this. Really good. What I like about it is, firstly, it's in alphabetical order, which means it's really easy to find things. Secondly, I got it in a charity shop for £1.99. From here to the path is 110. Go and get another one. Just chat amongst yourselves. Just cut this one down from next to where all the hens, all the rescue hens, they all stick together, and they're all having a dust bath underneath the wild raspberry bushes. It's fine. Whew. I'll edit this right down, don't worry, from there. Ooh, good. 1, 2, 3. Now we have to now decide what to do for the top part. Water here is correct. Cup of tea. So I've finished making the central bed here in the polytunnel for the tomatoes, and according to the garden book that I like to use, tomatoes are supposed to be 30 inches apart, which seems like quite a long way to me. So they're a tiny bit less than 30. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm creating the micro environment that these tomatoes are going to go into, and putting all the extra special nutrients that they'll need. So they're going, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tomatoes, which, you know, I'd like 20 tomatoes, but 8 will have to do. So these are the pots with no bottoms in then, that I use year after year. And what I'm going to do is, like I've done with these ones, I'm going to sink this into the ground, into this soil, and then build layers and layers of really good fertile soil, so that when the baby tomatoes get their roots in there, they'll have a happier time than if they were just in this kind of soil, which isn't actually terribly rich. And I know they're spaced far apart, but all the space between them I can use for planting radishes, microherbs, pea shoots, lamb's lettuce, all the things that I like to have in salads. They can go in the spaces between before the tomatoes get really big, which hopefully will be in a few weeks' time. and it's Saturday today, and I've had a sociable day because this morning I've had a ticket for this for ages. I took myself off to Gateshead, which is at, what is it, 40 miles from here maybe, and I went to a vegan festival which I've been looking forward to going to for ages, and it was lovely. Lots of really interesting food and stalls and just interesting people. So I spent 2 or 3 hours there, and so I had a lovely morning, and then I came back via my son and his wife, who live about 6 miles from here. And what I did was I did that thing with the phone again, where with an elastic band I put the phone on the sat nav and if I can manage to make it work, I'll put that little road trip, because it's a beautiful day and it was a beautiful drive. I'll just backfill that pot like that. I stopped by the Builders Merchants in Hexham and I got myself these. Now this is like a plumbing tube, and they're 2 meters long, and the guy very kindly chopped them into 1/2 meter lengths for me. And the reason why I want these is I'm going to put one of these in each of the pots, press it down as far as it'll go. It's nice and soft soil there, like so, so that when this is full I can water down into the roots at the bottom of the tomato plant. Layers then. The first layer I want to put in is this stuff. As you know, I live on a sheep farm, and this is some sheep poo that I collected a while ago that's gone nice and hard, and I start off the bottom of my layer with that. It's quite fresh. It would be better if it was a little bit more rotted, but it isn't, so hey ho, that's what I can manage. Then here, the next thing I'm going to put in, this is comfrey. These are comfrey leaves. Now I grow my, oh sorry parsley, I grow my comfrey just there next to the polytunnel, and it's a perennial plant. Once it's in the garden it spreads and spreads, but it's incredibly good stuff. So the thing about comfrey, first of all, is it sets down a very, very deep root, so it goes really down deep into the ground and brings nutrients up that most of the plants don't bring up. So their leaves are incredibly nutritious, and I use it in the garden for many things. I use it as a mulch. I put it in a compost heap when I've got loads. I use it in the way that I'm about to now. I make it into a comfrey tea, which basically I just put it into a bucket and fill it with water. It smells horrible, but if you take a little bit of that liquid and dilute it down, that's the kind of thing that will be going down my tubes. The other reason why I'm putting this in fresh like this is that when these baby tomatoes go in, which will be soon, this stuff will be decomposing and it'll actually be giving off a little bit of heat. So the leaves will create a lovely, warm, welcoming environment for the roots. The last thing I'm going to put in that is my stuff that I've made is my own compost, which is this stuff, which is the stuff I put on my compost. Anything that will biodegrade will go on here, and by that I mean the hops I get from the brewery, coffee grounds I get from various cafes, the straw out of the hen shed, that will get layered in. If I have a cutting of comfrey ready, that will go on. Any garden waste that hasn't got weed seeds in, so basically pretty much anything, will go into the compost heap, and a year in, it's fantastically rich stuff for the garden. So I will actually just pour some water in here. It's a good noise, isn't it? So that it can be wetting the roots of that tomato. And the tube here, this will be where I'll put comfrey tea or foliar feeds or tomato feed or whatever it is I put. Those last two, and then we'll have a look at the bed and see what it looks like. Okay?